Today, we're visiting a generative AI startup, ChaiVerse, which is in the heart of Silicon Valley, right in Palo Alto. So if you're new here, I'm Valerie. I'm a software engineer who works in big tech, but I've also worked at multiple startups in my career, and I absolutely love the energy and collaborativeness of a startup, and we're so lucky to be invited to Chai's brand new office and spend time with their team to learn more about what they've been up to. And if you haven't watched the Chai video I made a few months ago, go ahead and check out that link in the description box right after you watch this one. It's no secret that if you want to build a successful tech startup, you gotta head to Silicon Valley. And what better than to be in the heart of it in Palo Alto? Palo Alto is where it's at for startups, people who want to be focused on the product they're building and care about the customers and the users. Plenty of amazing startups that have started out in Palo Alto and have gone on to become huge companies and have made their stamp on the world, and ChaiVerse is no different, with their office being based in the center of it all. Here's a first look at their new office. It's branded, it's beautiful, spacious, lots of natural lighting, and a lot of space to work. Plenty of refreshments to drink to your heart's desire, silent booths to take quick meetings and phone calls, so many seating areas that are peaceful and quiet and calm to do your best work. If I was me, and I am, I would love to work at their office too. Just a modern and healthy feel in the neighborhood as well, so definitely California healthy vibes for sure. So I really wanted to chat with Will, the founder of Chai, because we didn't have him share his perspective in the last video, and I love that he's a technical founder. The last company that Will built was a quant trading firm. So some of the things that he built was the trading and AI pipeline from scratch. And he set up the machine learning infrastructure for both development and deployment, making custom ML models, and of course worked on the algorithmic trading strategies because quant firm, duh. So this is a legitimate tech founder, and because he's leading a huge generative AI company that's gaining more and more momentum each day, I really wanted to know if he still participates in the technical side of things, and here's what he said.
With founders and as all engineers, we all start off writing the code ourselves. And if you're good at writing the code, at some point you'll find yourself responsible for other people and the code that they write. Maybe you write a little bit less code, and maybe you start to have more conversations and more meetings with engineers, and you try to influence the code that others write. And there's a bunch of ways that can be done. Like code reviews, for example, are a great opportunity to enforce standards and encoding principles. Actually, the most powerful way to influence the code that gets written is through hiring. If you hire people who have very high standards and want to write beautiful code, they're just going to come in and write the beautiful code. The worst thing that one can do is to hire someone with low standards. They're going to write low quality code. And it's, typically it comes down to one's motivations. Some people like to build beautiful things just for the sake of doing it, and other people get to work and they want to get home as fast as possible. With respect to influencing the code, I really do that through hiring great engineers. I do spend a fair amount of my time still doing code reviews. The technical direction is still something that I think is quite important for me to be setting. That dovetails with an understanding of the users and the product and what problem are we really trying to solve here, and then having a good understanding of the engineering and the engineers. And so I can kind of come in and maybe I'll say, look, the users are experiencing this problem, and one potential technical solution would look like this. And then I can get the right people in the right room and I can sit them down and say, guys, if this is our number one priority, is this the kind of solution that we can build? And if so, shall we go ahead and build it? And what that looks like is concretely in the last 6 months, we've been working very hard to really focus on not serving the best chat app, but instead to focus on serving the best AI platform. It's important to understand why do users go on Chai instead of using something like ChatGPT. And fundamentally, the use case is social AI. And so how can we be the best platform for social AI? And by asking ourselves this question, by looking at something that we can do that's truly unique and really powerful, and taking the risk to build that. And so what we're seeing that There's thousands of great models that are being trained by individuals at home, whether that's students of AI, whether that's people who are software engineers and have a passion for AI and they're doing it at home in their spare time. And they're training interesting and unique models, and they're submitting them to ChaiVerse. And we're in a situation where we have 1,000 great models. How do we combine these 1,000 great models to create a single experience for the customer? You know, that's like this amazing, delightful thing.
I wanted to know more about how Chai has gained a lot of traction so far, and this is what Will said.
With Chai, we were very early in many ways to this AI space. 3 years ago when we started, there wasn't ChatGPT, there wasn't all of this attention. And so we were kind of the only player who had an app in the App Store for social AI. You could speak to a GPT model. You could create your own chat AIs, chatbots, and interact with them. And so by being first, we were able to get a reasonable amount of traction relatively soon. It took us a year of trial and error to really figure out what it was that the users love. Today we have 1 million daily users who spend about an hour on the app. I guess the really insane thing is the number of messages. We get something like 100 million messages sent a day, which is 3 billion messages a month. I remember a time when I would speak to VCs and I would say to them, look, we've got this amount of traction with like a GPT-2 style model. And I told the VCs, I said, look, as the technology gets better, you'll move from early adopters to, you know, more and more mass market. And they were kind of skeptical early on. Actually, a good amount of our progress is driven by the general trends in AI, right? So for us, the growth, we see a very clear cadence where the sophistication of AI increases. Let's say when the Llama models were first released, so more sophisticated AI comes out. You get the community starts to fine-tune their own models. And early on, it was very, very difficult to fine-tune your own models, whether there's libraries, you know, and open source repositories for people to do that. And you see all of these things just continue to grow with time. And so our AI is able to improve with time. From day one, we've only ever focused on delivering the most value to the users. And what we found is that if you're able to build something unique that's interesting, people will talk about it. They'll go on Reddit, they'll go on TikTok, they'll go on YouTube, they'll tell their friends. And through this word of mouth channel, you get the users. For me, it's very exciting to see that after 3 years, we've got these 1 million users spending an hour a day. But I also take a very long horizon where I think, well, in 10 years' time, where are we going to be? And what do we have to keep building to continue to sustain that?
How you mentioned between Chai versus other generative AI or content sort of apps, Chai is more flexible in terms of things.
There are several big apps in the space. There's Character AI, there's Talkie, and there's Chai. And I think these are the big 3 apps. When users talk about the difference between the 3, Chai will often be described as being the one with the least filters. For me, this stems from our focus on just customer obsession. I think everyone's used ChatGPT and they've asked ChatGPT a question and then it said, sorry, I can't answer that. And from a consumer perspective, that sucks, right? It's not fun, it's boring, it doesn't help you. And so we've always strived to really give users the experience which they want. I think a lot of people with AI, they get very excited by this concept of, oh, you could have an AI girlfriend, you could have an AI boyfriend. When we actually look at the way users really interact with the AI, my mental map is it's very similar to if I were to watch a TV show on Netflix, right? And there's a big element of drama, there's a big element of romance, and there absolutely is an element of sex, but there's also friendship, there's also philosophical conversations. And it's, you know, I really think it's the full experience that consumers have in entertainment. You know, then I look at companies like other ones who are more restrictive. Everyone has a different perspective on this topic. Some people want to be much more like Disney and they want to have a very strict, they say this is what our brand is and this is what we're all about. And they build a certain type of product. And I think Disney is like this amazing company, and I think a lot of people love it and get a lot of joy out of that. But then having companies like Twitter or TikTok or YouTube, where people can say whatever they want to say, or they can come up with unique content. I think that's something that I'm very excited to build. And I think that is something that I'm somewhat proud of, is that I think we're building something that if we weren't building it, I don't know if anyone else would, which is really fighting for this idea that there can be UGC in AI and giving people the chance to train in AI at home, to submit it to a platform, and then serve that AI to users. And if users want to talk to it and they find value in that, then that's something that I think is amazing. And so we want to just do as good a job of that as possible.
I don't think there's anyone better at explaining technical details to me as much as Tom, so I'm so excited that we got to talk to him again. And Tom shared what the entire team has been working on, which is ChaiVerse. ChaiVerse is a developer platform where you can connect your Hugging Face LLMs and submit your LLMs to the Chai platform, where users can directly interact with the models, and there will be a ranking system so that devs know how engaging their model is doing. So let's hear more about it from Tom himself.
ChaiVerse is our developer ecosystem where we allow just anyone who have trained a language model to submit model instead of Hugging Face directly to us. And what we do is we deploy the model completely for free. We host the model and we give the model directly to our Chai app users, because users just want to see what's the best AI out there. And then what developers can get is metrics feedback from the Chai users. So they get to see exactly how their model fare with the other developers' models. So we've been spending a lot of time on this ecosystem, trying to scale up. And then the crux of it is just connecting the developers with users who love the AI content that these language models generate.
I was looking at ChaiVerse a bit, and it seems like developers can upload their model, right?
Yep.
And then how does that work? Does the Chai team approve it, and then it goes directly into the app where users can use it, or like how does that work?
Yeah, it's very simple. So there's no manual approval process. So what happens is a developer submits a model. All they need is the Hugging Face URL into our submission console, and then they can tune certain parameters. Right? There's basically prompt engineering side. There's the generation, so model generation, inference time, sampling parameters, and then we run a series of very basic evaluations. So for example, we have a safety check. We want to give this conversation some kind of like secret payload, and then see how does the language model perform under these kind of scenarios. And then we score the model. And we have multiple other sort of like evaluation criteria. We just want to make sure this model is safe and also not broken, right? Because sometimes developers can accidentally submit a model that just generates absolute garbage. We don't want our user exposed to it. After these checks have passed, then this model is automatically exposed to the users. The users will, in the app, they have their normal conversation, and suddenly they see two responses coming up. The users will know exactly which response the model has generated, and then the user pick the one that they like. And this is acts as a way of feedback back to the developers. And this is how the models on our leaderboard is ranked. So they are ranked, so it's called battles. So just like you play chess, you have a yellow score, right? Between you're battling another player and so on. You see these language models are battling a different, all the other language models. And then
like the most engaging.
Yes, exactly, for the one that the users prefer the most. So this is sort of like first step metrics on global metrics. The good thing about having yellow is you also have a win rate, right? So you can see the top model has a 64% win rate. What that means is when you serve the model to most of the users, 64% of the users prefer this model over all the other models.
Tell me about the Chai controller.
The Chai LLM Controller is a recommendation system for models. From day one of making Chai, we wanted to create an AI platform. And the question is, what does an AI platform look like? Around 2 years ago, we knew users love basically prompt engineering, right? Consumers call it creating different characters, or what we call that creating different chais, right? So these are the different characters that you see on the app itself. But then also developers love training language models. That's been a very, very recent trend. So then it's just about connecting all the different language models. It's about finding the model that you love yourself. So just like YouTube, you have recommendation system, which is you don't decide what your YouTube feed is like, right? YouTube says, I think you're going to enjoy this video. We're doing a very similar thing here, which is the user doesn't really care which model is generating their responses, right? The users don't really care which engine they're using. The user just wants the best possible chat experience. So then the LLM router decides which model to be serving to the user depending on the current conversation.
The LLM router being the LLM controller.
Yes, right? So it's about identifying under what circumstance do I serve you the most relevant actual engine. Because it's these language models that's driving the entire conversation, and it can change. So then for our AI research team, the goal has really been, we have gotten, I think, over 6,000 models submitted to ChaiVerse, and then we have around 1 million daily active users, right? So how do we route, depending on the user's conversations, right? How do we know? Is there a way to predict which language model out of the 6,000 models that we have is most apt to complete the current completion back to the user? So this is what we call the LLM router. You can imagine a conversation comes in, and then you want to select the best model that the users will enjoy most given the current state of the conversation, and use that model to generate a response for the user.
I hope you guys remember Cece, who is the mobile front-end engineer at Chai, and we're gonna go grab some coffee and hear what she's been up to.
We've done quite a lot over the past year. One is we had somebody new join our team on the back end, and he completely migrated one of our databases over. And the cool thing about that is it means that we saved a lot of money, and we can put that money into continuing to provide like a good experience for our users, and like continuing to upgrade our AI. And yeah, I think that was just like a really great moment. Another thing we've worked on in the past year is some changes to the way that we serve ads. And yeah, again, really exciting because I think it should be an improvement for users. And so far the feedback has been really positive. And the great thing about that is that it means that we no longer have to put a limit on the number of messages users can send if they're not subscribers. So now all users kind of get an unlimited number of messages. Yeah, so that was really exciting. One other cool thing is that, yeah, we've like been looking more into the ultra tier subscription and like how we can provide more and more like benefits for those users. Yeah.
How does it was a database migration. How did that improve everything?
So in a few ways. For one thing, it kind of led to rewriting the way that the app interacts with the back end, because before it hadn't been changed in quite a while, and so now it means that like the code is cleaner, more tested, and that should in the long run lead to like fewer bugs and like more stable experience. So yeah, I was really excited about that. And then it also means that instead of spending our money on the database, now we can spend our money on giving better AI to the users and stuff. Yeah.
I know the team's been focusing on ChaiVerse, and that's a very important developer platform. And so because the team is, about 12 people and most are working on ChaiVerse, like, do you feel like you have enough support, or you feel like you're just, blazing the trail for mobile front end?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like there's plenty of opportunities to collaborate, because even when people are focused on working on ChaiVerse, like there's still some interaction between features in ChaiVerse and features in the app. Like for instance, sometimes we want to get feedback from users on which models they prefer, and that comes through the app. And so there's still plenty of collaboration. And yeah, I always feel that like we all work together as a team on everything, so it's nice.
Seems like the whole team's like all hands on deck. Whoever needs support, it doesn't matter what role you're in, you will be supporting another engineer.
Exactly, and you know, you can really work on anything. Like everybody will just work on whatever is the most impactful for them at the time. For me, because I've just spent more time in Flutter, like usually my most impactful thing is to just like do the Flutter tasks, and you know, for other people, like they'll work on the back end because that's what they're strong at, and then that way we're collaborating and everybody's like having the most impact they can. Yeah.
It was so cool to hang out with the Chai team once again. They just remind me of how much I love this corner of the world that I live in, and the people that come here are just so talented, technical, and have a craftsmanship-like mindset when it comes to building out tech products that people love. Chai's evolved to become a platform for both developers and Chai users, basically an ecosystem, and they don't plan on stopping there. Chai is always looking for talent, so be sure to check the links in the description box down below to apply for your next role at Chai Research. I hope to see you all in the next video. Bye!